this is on the daily. It has been about the same as it has been, for here in all of 2006 so far. There is no major dump off in DEX volume. There's no major dump off in TVL. It's let's see what other we got: perps volume, chain revenue, stable coins. All right, so that gives you an idea of, it's always important to verify claims that you see on Twitter. Everyone has an agenda. They want their projects to, be successful. And in deep in, bear markets, when we're in the red like we are, a lot of them, they're fighting for what's, what little TVL, what little liquidity is in the markets. And so if they can FUD people out of other projects and paint a better picture for theirs, potentially they can, move some of that liquidity. But again, you're going to see, accounts like this that, let's see how many followers they have. Yeah, 173, almost 174,000 followers. And they're followed by people like this Not Telling guy. He actually has quite a bit of very good alpha on DeFi projects and RWA projects. So, just because they're followed by reputable people doesn't mean that they're always putting out reputable information. So just wanted to share that real quick.
Yeah, Mike. So I'm actually, very curious in this, very curious here, because do we know for certain that the data that we're getting on DeFi Llama is actually good? Is it good data?
That's a valid point.
Yeah, I don't know. I spoke to the one of the guys on the team at RWA.xyz yesterday.
Yeah.
And dude, they charge a lot for their data.
Yeah.
You compare that to DeFi Llama, it's free. And the DeFi Llama API is free too. So I'm just wondering, like, is DeFi Llama's data valid? I certainly hope so. But, when it comes to Solana DEX volumes, I'm a little suspicious of those volumes, man.
Well, a lot of their volumes, I think, is meme coins. I've always said that about Solana. It's the meme coin haven. It's where pump.fun is. It's where, a lot of its volume and TVL comes from, is meme coins. Love Solana or hate it. It's the truth. Let's actually really quick. Let's ask Miles. I'm just kind of curious what he'd say. I'm not necessarily going to take it as gospel, but let's see what he has to say.
Hey there. What's up, Mike?
Hey, Miles, real quick. Me and David are live, and we're talking about DeFi Llama, the data aggregator for crypto chains. Are you able to see that online?
Gotcha. Yep, DeFi Llama's up. Looks like they just posted a new thread on X about total value locked hitting another milestone across all chains. Pretty wild to see those numbers keep climbing, Anything specific about it you want me to dig into?
Yes. So me and David, David brought up a very valid point of, the data that we get on DeFi Llama. How certain can we be of its accuracy?
Fair question. It's kind of a perennial debate in crypto, right? DeFi Llama does a pretty solid job pulling data from a ton of sources, but it's definitely not perfect. They rely on APIs from the protocols themselves, and those can sometimes be wonky or inaccurate. Plus, there's always the possibility of wash trading inflating TVL. And they're pretty transparent about their methodology, and they do have a confidence score for each chain, which is a good indicator. But yeah, taking everything at face value would be a mistake. It's always smart to cross-reference with other sources if you're making any real decisions based on the data.
Awesome. No, that's perfect. So yeah, no, it's very important that you that you verify, and from multiple sources, cross check and make sure that the numbers that you're getting are the same, on all those, different sources. And even then, you can't be 100% sure because, those other sources, are they doing the same thing? Are they using the APIs, from these projects? And if they're using those APIs, can those APIs be manipulated by those projects to paint a more favorable picture?
I just kind of get the sense that a lot of the volumes on these chains might be inflated. maybe not intentionally. It's just that I can see how, one transaction could be counted a couple of times. And, that would just lead to inflated volume numbers. You definitely have, especially on Solana, inflated wallet address figures
Mhm.
because of, basically meme coin scams. Like that's basically
Yeah.
it. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm just not convinced that the data from Solana is like real and legit. But then again, maybe it is. Maybe it is. It could be. It's just if we're stuck using DeFi Llama as our source of truth, well, we need more than that.
Yeah.
What other DeFi Llamas are there? Is there another data aggregator like DeFi Llama?
Well, let's ask Miles. Let's see. Maybe he can point us in the right direction. See, Miles is great for stuff like this, like to quickly find, information. Let's he's not good with numbers. So, well, and he might have gotten better, but I'll be honest. I've in the past, me and Jeff have tried to use it for, um, just anything to do, even asking it, what the current price of Bitcoin is. Sometimes it gets it wrong, but it does really good with, like, say, a complex topic. If you're trying to define something like impermanent loss, he does a really good job. And here, I'll just show you real quick.
Hey there. What's up?
Hey, Miles, real quick, can you, in the simplest terms possible, can you define what impermanent loss is in liquidity pools and DeFi?
Ah, gotcha. Okay, so basically, impermanent loss happens when the price of tokens you've deposited into a liquidity pool changes compared to when you deposited them. If the price diverges enough, you'd have been better off just holding those tokens outside the pool. It's impermanent because the loss isn't realized until you withdraw your funds. If prices revert, it can disappear. It's kind of annoying, but
See,
it's the cost of
he's
providing.
really good at simplifying things, but he's just not good with numbers.
Yeah, no,
So
I mean that was a pretty good explanation, and keeping it super simple.
yeah,
So I actually came up with as you were asking Miles, I asked Gemini, give me a couple of different data aggregators
yeah.
similar to DeFi Llama. And
What did it have to say?
so what I got was Token Terminal,
Okay,
cryptofees.info, and Masari. Now, I've used Token Terminal and Masari. I've never used cryptofees.info. There's another one, Nansen. So Nansen, they've got a bunch of AI products. If you go to their website, it's kind of cool looking. I've never really used them though. Arkham. Arkham is famous for basically just like doxing wallets and tracking on-chain flows. And then you've got Glassnode. They have, I think Glassnode has like a studio and a suite of products. So yeah, Glassnode for sure. Then you've got Dune Analytics. We all know Dune. We use that all the time. You can build custom dashboards over there. Another one is called Flipside Crypto. It says here it's similar to Dune. I haven't come across that one yet. And then you've got, the DEX stuff, like DEX Screener, DEX Tools, Gecko Terminal. And then here are some niche ones, L2Beat, OpenOcean. So OpenOcean, we know OpenOcean and 1inch. Those are the swap aggregators. And then here's a new one, NFT Go and Crypto Slam. So I don't really care about NFT prices, dude. I was listening to, one of the ladies who's running the Pudgy Penguins project,
yeah.
and I mean that token. Well, what has happened to it? So she was presenting yesterday or speaking yesterday during, I think Solana has like a big conference going on right now in Singapore. I
I
was
think so.
watching it. Yeah, I was watching it last night. And what's the ticker for? It's Pudgy. It's just
Yeah,
Pudgy.
yeah, just pudgy.
Yeah. So if I'm going to take a look at just Pudgy real quick. So Pengu, that's right,
That's it.
Pengu. Yeah, it looks like shit. So, but yeah, man. So why don't we go ahead and hop into the content, Mike? You ready? I've
Yeah,
got
let's
I've got
do it.
everything ready to rock and roll here. So, lesson 9. What is a crypto wallet? Did we finish this one yesterday and we're moving
No,
on here?
no,
Okay.
it's we ended and we talked about how today was going to be we're going to be talking about wallets.
Awesome. So, overnight, I did update all of the images for all of the courses. And I've only got Money Basics and Crypto Fundamentals published so far, but the rest of them are all done. So I'm going to be publishing those last 3 today, and then I'm going to turn them into books. So we'll have physical paperback copies of the books to be able to go through also. But just take a look. The images came out much, much better. There's no more hallucination on the text. You see that?
Yeah.
So that's much better. And these lessons are really readable. So we could just run through the lesson really quick. It's like a wallet is kind of like a mailbox with a special key. Kind of sorta. You can read about it kind of like a mailbox with a special key.
No, sorry, I'm on Glassnode. I just clicked on XRP and
XRP is my favorite, man.
The data does not look good, but I'm sorry, keep going.
Oh no, it's great. It's great. XRP is going to go to like 30 cents, man, maybe 40 cents. So here, let's play demystifying crypto wallets.
All right, let's talk about crypto wallets. Now, I'm willing to bet that almost everything you think you know about how they work is probably a little bit off. It all really starts with one single massive misconception. And there it is. You heard that right. Your crypto wallet is completely, totally empty. It holds absolutely zero of your coins. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, what? That makes no sense. And honestly, you're right to be confused. But just stick with me here, because understanding this one wild fact is the key to, well, everything.
Okay, so my understanding, Mike, of the way that many wallets work, especially these non-custodial wallets like Rabby that we use, or maybe, like Trezor or Ledger, is that they actually hold your keys. They don't hold your coins. Your coins, that balance lives on chain, but your private key is what allows you to sign transactions to spend those coins. Those tokens.
It's basically your ID that tells the chain that you're the authorized owner of those tokens.
Basically, yeah, that's my understanding of these wallets. Now, there are different types of wallets, and we're going to get into that. But just at a super high level, your wallet owns your private keys, which you use to sign transactions. Your coins and your tokens don't actually live in your wallet. Your keys do. The coins and tokens live on chain. And for you to be able to spend those coins or tokens, you've got to have the keys. And that's where your wallet comes in. Your wallet holds your keys.
So, okay, if it doesn't hold your Bitcoin or your Ether, then what on earth is the point? What is actually inside that app on your phone that you call a wallet? That's exactly what we're about to break down. You see, the whole problem really starts with the name itself. We call it a wallet, and immediately our brain pictures that leather thing in our pocket or purse. But that single word, wallet, sets up a completely wrong expectation from the get-go. Think about it. A real physical wallet contains the actual thing of value, right? The cash is physically inside it. The credit cards are tucked in the slots. A crypto wallet, on the other hand, contains no money at all. What it holds is the proof that you own money that's recorded somewhere else entirely, out there on the blockchain. So if wallet is a bad metaphor, what's a better one? Let's try thinking of it as a kind of magic transparent mailbox. Trust me, this is going to make things so much clearer.
So the wallet is a magic mailbox. Cletus has the best analogies, man.
All right. Transparent mailbox.
I know, right?
See-through mailbox. It's not at your house. It's metaphorically bolted right onto the digital ledger of the blockchain itself. This is your address, your little plot of land in the crypto world. Now, this mailbox has a few very special rules. Rule number 1. Anyone in the world who knows your address can put crypto into your mailbox. It's like a public drop-off slot. This is how people send you funds. Rule number 2, and listen up because this is the important one. Only the person with the special, unique key can open that mailbox and take crypto out to send it somewhere else. And that key is what your so-called wallet actually protects. And the final rules are pretty simple. Because it's on the public blockchain, anyone can look inside and see how much is in there. And because it's bolted down, it can't be stolen, broken, or moved. It's a permanent fixture in the digital world.
And this quote just brilliantly sums up the entire idea. Your wallet is just the key. It doesn't hold the asset. It just gives you the exclusive access to control the asset. Your crypto is the house, and your wallet is simply the key that unlocks the front door.
So, if the wallet's main job is to hold these keys, what are they? We're not talking about a simple password here. They're a set of cryptographic secrets that all work together, and it all starts with one master secret.
It all begins with your private key. Then, through some really clever math, it generates a public key. And that public key, in turn, generates your public address. But pay close attention to the arrows here. It is a one-way street. You can easily go from private to public, but the math makes it practically impossible to go backward. No one can ever figure out your private key just by looking at your public address. It just can't be done.
So let's just break this down nice and simple. Your private key, that is the master secret. You never, ever share it with anyone. It's what lets you spend your funds. Then there's the public key. It's used to verify that your digital signature is authentic, so it's safe to share. And the address, well, that's what you give out to everyone. It's just the address of your magic mailbox, telling people where to send you stuff.
Okay, so this is important. We've got the public and private keys, and then we've got our public wallet addresses. And so that private key, that is what you use to sign transactions. You never share this. This is equivalent to your seed phrase. The seed phrase is just a human readable version of your private key. Now, you have these pairs of public, your private key pairs to create a bunch of different like public keys. And so have you ever seen, they're called derivation paths. When you're, maybe you're importing a wallet, let's say that you've got like a Ledger or a Trezor, and you're importing that wallet into, I don't know, maybe something like Backpack or even Rabby. And you get to a stage where you have to select which wallet you want to, you want to use. And usually you've got like 50 different choices. Well, those are all different derivation paths. And I think that that's the combination of public and private key that produces a bunch of wallet addresses. So that's how you can have, essentially like 50 different accounts, let's call them, really just, I think it's just different public wallet addresses. So you can have a lot of different accounts from one seed phrase, but that seed phrase is what proves ownership. That's the thing that you never share. And that's what allows you to sign transactions. Your public wallet address, you share with anyone, anywhere. And that's what allows you to receive crypto. So yeah, I can see how that mailbox analogy makes sense. Like a magical, transparent mailbox. That's makes sense to me.
Okay, this brings us to another common point of confusion. Is the wallet the app on your phone, or is it the keys themselves? The answer is, well, it's kind of both, and it is absolutely crucial to know the difference.
Yeah.
The best way to think about this is with email.
Okay, so is it both? Let me just bring it back to that image here. So the software and the secrets, if you create a hot wallet where that seed phrase is shown to you on your computer screen or on your phone when you create the wallet, that's a hot wallet. And so that hot wallet, your keys live on the hot wallet or in the hot wallet. So what happens if the developer of that wallet didn't follow all the security best practices, or even if they did, maybe they get hacked? What happens to your money? It can go bye-bye. So, that software or hot wallet is not a wallet that you use to store anything of significant value to you. Maybe you store like your walking around money on your hot wallet because it's really easy to sign transactions. But your secret, so your hot wallet is not what you would use for any serious money. A cold wallet is, because on the cold wallet, your hardware device, your hardware wallet, that is what creates and stores your keys, and they are created and stored offline. So
I tend to think of a cold wallet as more of a safety deposit box, and a hot wallet as, like a regular wallet, to where, easy access, and, you can do DeFi, you can, do things, but, a cold storage wallet, I mean, it's like going to the bank and needing the key and all that stuff is, you got to go to wherever you store it, in your safe. You got to physically open the safe. You got to get it out.
Exactly.
You gotta, there's a process. It's the same thing. I look at gold and silver. Tokenized gold and silver is kind of like it being in a hot wallet. You can buy, sell, trade, any time of day, 24/7 with a couple of clicks. If you have physical gold and silver, it's usually in a safe. You have to go and physically get it. You have to jump in your vehicle. You have to go to somebody who's willing to buy it and, work a deal. And, there's a lot more to it. So that's kind of, how I envision the difference between a hot and a cold wallet.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Hot versus cold, software versus hardware.
Yep.
Difference. The best way to think about this is with email. Your set of cryptographic keys is like your actual email account. It's the core identity that holds all your stuff. The wallet app on your phone, like MetaMask or Coinbase Wallet, is just like the Gmail or Outlook app. It's just an interface, a program that lets you access and manage your account. In fact, you can use a bunch of different wallet apps to access the very same set of keys.
So the software is basically what makes all this complicated stuff easy. It generates the keys for you in the first place, it stores them securely, it does all the complex math to sign transactions when you approve them, and it pings the blockchain to show you your balance. It's the user-friendly dashboard for your magic mailbox.
Right, that's for a hot wallet. It's a little bit different for a cold wallet.
Okay, let's bring this all home. If you only remember one thing from this entire explainer, it should be this simple but incredibly powerful relationship between your keys and your crypto.
Let's just recap this real quick. 1, wallets hold keys, not crypto. Your assets live out on the blockchain. 2, your private key is your proof of ownership. Full stop. 3, the wallet app is just a piece of software, a tool to manage those keys. And 4, because of all this, keychain is probably a way more accurate name than wallet.
So, the crucial point is this. It doesn't matter where your crypto is located in the world. All that matters is who holds the private key. If you have the keys, you control the crypto. If a hacker gets your keys, they control your crypto. It is that simple and that absolute. And that brings us to the final and really the most important question that this whole topic raises. It's not about which wallet app you should use or which coin to buy. It's all about security. Now that you truly understand that these keys represent the literal ownership of your assets, the only question that really matters is how are you going to protect them?
Well, there's a couple of ways to protect them. Number one, you want to protect your keys from getting physically destroyed. So, you write them down on a piece of paper. It's probably a good idea to then stamp that seed phrase into a piece of metal. Maybe you do that more than once. You've got a backup and store those in different places. So that's an easy way to, make sure that at least your seed phrase won't be destroyed. If there's fire or flood or something horrible like that, if it's actually stamped into a piece of titanium or maybe stainless steel, then you're much more likely to be able to recover it after a disaster.
I carved mine in trees all around my property. So
somebody do.
Somebody has to know the order. It's
So what is your address, Mike? Yeah, man. So here's this image for a mailbox with a special key, right? So your wallet could be thought of as a transparent mailbox because it's public. It's on chain and it's public. So anyone with your address can see the assets in your wallet, in your mailbox. And so the special key, that is your private key. That's what allows you to sign transactions. So anyone in the world, as long as they've got your wallet address, can send you crypto assets. And only the person who has the private key can sign to spend those crypto assets, those digital assets. So as long as you own your keys, then you custody whatever is in the wallet. So it is, and it's not even like it's in the wallet. You're just able to sign. So yeah, that's real self-custody right there. Real self-custody.
I think the analogy of it being a keychain is probably the most accurate.
I think that makes a lot more sense too, because what does the wallet actually contain? It contains your keys. That's it.
Yeah.
So, it's much more like a keychain, but these modern wallet apps, they've got a bunch of additional functionality built into them that just makes it really easy for you to interact with your assets on chain and sign transactions. So it gives you kind of the illusion that you've got assets in the wallet, when really the wallet is just kind of making it easy for you to sign transactions using your private key. It doesn't actually hold anything. So the wallet contains a private key, a public key, and addresses. And this is, you can have dozens of addresses. So those are kind of like separate accounts, but all controlled by one key. So let's see here. Why don't we go ahead and move on from lesson 9? Let's see, let's move on from lesson 9 to lesson 10. I want to learn a little bit more about public keys in detail. And let's see here. What is a crypto address? Wow, these images came out looking great, Mike. Take a look at this, man. All of the text rendered properly. There's no more hallucinations here. Public keys and addresses, email address versus email password. Awesome. That looks great. I'm going to scroll down through this lesson here. Addresses are one way. Oh, wow. That's kind of interesting how that came out. Don't know what type of characters those are. Let's see here. What else do we have? Key takeaways. All right. Looking good. And let's go ahead and play that video content. Then we can run through the lesson.
All right.
So you've probably wondered about this, right? How exactly do people get paid in crypto without just blasting their secret info all over the internet? It's a great question, and it gets right to the heart of how all this stuff actually works. Today, we're going to clear up exactly what a crypto address is.
I mean, it really comes down to this one central puzzle. How can something be open enough for literally anyone to send you money, but at the same time be secure enough that nobody can steal it? It sounds like a total contradiction, but it's actually the brilliant solution that makes crypto possible.
The easiest way to wrap your head around this is with something you already use every single day, your email. It's the perfect analogy. Just like with email, your crypto wallet has two parts. A public part you can share with absolutely everyone, and a private part that you have to protect like it's your life's biggest secret. Okay, so let's really dig into this crypto email idea, because once this clicks for you, honestly, everything else about how wallets work is going to fall right into place. So your public address, that's your crypto email address. You could literally post it on your website, text it to a friend. You could even put it on a billboard if you wanted to. It's just a destination for money to come in. Anyone who has it can send you crypto, but that is all they can do. They can't log in, they can't see your balance from it, and they definitely can't spend your funds. It's just like how knowing my email address doesn't let you into my inbox. But then you've got your private key. Now this is your password. It's your PIN number. It's the keys to the kingdom all rolled into one. You have to guard this thing with your life. So here's the bottom line. Your public address is for receiving crypto, but your private key is for spending it. And if you ever share that private key, you're not just risking your money, you are giving it away. It's that simple.
All right, so you've got it. Public is for sharing, private is for hiding. Easy enough. But there's a really important little detail you have to know before you start passing your address around. They are not all the same.
Take a look here. Each blockchain has its own completely unique address format. A Bitcoin address starts with a 1, a 3, or a BC1. Ethereum addresses always start with 0x. Solana's looks totally different again. Think of them like postal codes for different countries. They belong to separate systems that can't talk to each other. You can't mix and match.
Right. And so that's where bridges come into play. But, recently, over the last 24 months or so, most dApps and most wallets simply won't allow you to send spot Bitcoin to an Ethereum wallet address or to a Solana wallet address. It will reject the transaction. It won't let you send that transaction. Back in the day, you could make a mistake with typing in that wallet address and inadvertently send Bitcoin to, or try to send Bitcoin to an Ethereum wallet address and lose it permanently. Yeah. So they've updated things, and you don't really have to worry about inadvertently sending Bitcoin to a Solana address because the wallet app just won't let you do it. But just something to know. Look at how different these wallet addresses look. So BC1, either a 1, a 3, or a BC1. And I think for Bitcoin, the 1, the 3, or the BC1, I think that has to do with like when the wallet was created, but I'm not 100% positive on that. Ethereum, of course, is 0x. So if you ever seen on X, the social network X, there are a lot of Ethereum developers who have 0x in their names or in their profiles in some way. Well,
Yeah,
that's just
an Ethereum thing.
yeah, it's a reference to an Ethereum thing. And then Solana, your wallet address on Solana is going to basically always look kind of different. So base 58 characters is what it says.
And this is why that is so, so critical. Sending your Bitcoin to an Ethereum address is like mailing a package to an address that doesn't exist. Best case, the transaction just fails. Worst case, your funds are gone, just lost forever out there in the digital ether. And there are no takebacks in crypto.
So that brings up a really good question, right? How is it even possible for this address to be completely public without risking your security? Well, the magic here, it's all in the math. It all works because it's a one-way street. Everything, and I mean everything, starts with your secret private key. Then, through some cool cryptographic math, that key is used to create a public key. And then that is used to create your final shareable public address. But the most important thing to see here is that the arrows only point in one direction. It's super easy to go from your private key to your public address, but it's basically impossible to go backward.
Okay, so this is just a repeat of the last video content that we went through, but I think it's really important that we just get this like seared into our brains, that the private key, that is secret, you never share that, and the human readable version of that private key is your seed phrase. So public address, this is what you share with anyone everywhere.
This is the absolute perfect way to think about it. Cracking an egg? Easy. Anyone can do it. But now try to uncrack it. Try to put that shell back together perfectly with the yolk inside. You can't. It's impossible. And that is exactly how the math behind your address works. It's designed to be a one-way.
Yeah, it's what about quantum though, Mike? What about quantum?
Quantum could do it.
Quantum can do it.
Function. And that concept, the one-way function, is the bedrock of pretty much all modern cryptography. It's what lets you share your public address with the whole world, feeling completely confident that no one, not even with a supercomputer, can reverse the math to figure out your secret private key.
So your funds are incredibly secure. We've got that down. But this brings us to a really crucial point that a lot of people get wrong. Security and privacy are not the same thing. So let's just ask the question. If the math is so solid and it's so secure, what's the downside? What's the catch to having your address out there for everyone to see?
Well, here's the catch. Most blockchains are public. You can think of them like a giant transparent bank book that the whole world can read. If somebody knows a particular address belongs to you, they can just pop it into a block explorer, which is kind of like a search engine for the blockchain, and see everything. Your balance, every transaction you've ever made, every address you've ever sent crypto to, it's all there.
So think about that for a second. It makes it really, really easy if you live on chain to be able to audit your books, so to speak. But that also means that anyone can do that. Anyone, anywhere in the world can see all of your public transactions.
So, unless it's a private network or a private chain, like some of them out there. Canton, of course, one of my favorites comes to mind. The zero knowledge proofs, a lot of the different, projects have that to where it's not public, it's not transparent. So, and, again, like you just said, David, you don't want that for everything. If you're, you don't want everyone knowing your business. You don't, give everybody access to your bank account, and visibility on, what you're buying and, what you're doing with your bank account. You don't necessarily want that with your investments either. And it's, don't get me wrong, it's great. It definitely has its place. We talked about, I think it was last night that we talked about it, but basically putting the budget, the US budget on chain so that it's transparent, so that we, the taxpayers, can see what the government's spending our money on. there's a use case for both private and public.
Yeah, a couple of examples of some of the most famous private chains would be like Monero, XMR, or Zcash, ZEC, or I think Cardano launched a privacy chain recently called Midnight, and I think
Yeah.
the token is Night. And also Vitalik Buterin, one of the founders of Ethereum, has been floating the idea of towards the end of this year on the Ethereum development roadmap of implementing some, privacy functions on Ethereum. So I'm really excited for that because I think that, we deserve the ability to determine if we want our transactions to be public or private.
So yeah, it's secure, but it is definitely not anonymous. Because of this, people who've been in this space for a while have strategies to protect their privacy. One of the most common things to do is to use a new, fresh public address for every single transaction you receive.
Oh my goodness, can you imagine trying to do that? That must be just like, imagine the number of wallets you would have to maintain to be able to do that for every transaction.
Right.
I know.
Now don't worry, most modern wallets do this for you automatically. Think of it like using a different PO box for every letter you get. It just makes it way, way harder for anyone to connect the dots and build a profile on you. Now, you might have seen things like yourname.eth. These come from services like the Ethereum Name Service, or ENS. They're basically just a convenient nickname for your super long, complicated address. It's just an optional layer to make things easier. But underneath it all, it's still pointing to that same old secure, cryptographic address. Okay, let's wrap this all up with maybe the most practical advice of the whole explainer. Now that you know how these addresses work, how do you make sure you actually use them correctly and don't make a huge mistake? Before you ever hit send on a transaction, just run through this quick checklist. First, always copy and paste. Never try to type one of these things out by hand.
And
Mike,
still,
did you ever do that when you were first getting started in crypto?
No.
Did you ever?
no,
Dude.
I never tried to type it out, but I do even when I copy and paste, because there's exploits that
Right.
if you copy and paste, that it will actually change the address. So make sure, like it's good to check it all, but I always at a minimum check the first 5 characters and the last 5 characters.
Right. And so there are actually pieces of malware now that will insert addresses that have the same first 4 and last 4.
Yeah.
So that's, wow, just so you got to be careful.
Yeah.
But be careful, there's malware that can secretly change what's in your clipboard. That's why step 2 is so important. Double check. Just verify the first few characters and the last few characters to make sure they match. Third,
And a test transaction.
And a test. Yeah. Test transactions are really important, especially for large sums of money. Now, you see what it says here about using QR codes? The thing about the QR codes is that these can be exploited too. So if you've got like an air-gapped wallet, like a Keystone, that relies on scanning QR codes to be able to, sign transactions, that might not be as secure as you think, because these QRs, they can be scammed too.
Yeah.
Use a QR code. It takes human error out of the equation. And finally, if you're sending a big amount, please send a tiny test transaction first.
There it is.
It is so worth it.
Yeah.
And I really can't stress this enough. There is no undo button. There's no customer service you can call.
And so, Mike, if anyone who's listening to this or watches the recording of this, if you ever get a phone call from someone claiming to be like Coinbase customer support, or you name it, any type of crypto customer support, and they ask for your seed phrase, or they ask for any type of
I can't even get I'm a Coinbase One member. I pay the $30 a month or whatever for Coinbase One, and I can't even voluntarily get somebody from Coinbase on the phone most of the time, let alone them calling me. So yeah, it's if somebody calls you claiming to be with customer service for some, it's not. Crypto hasn't gotten to that point to where customer service is that robust.
No, there is no customer service for any of this stuff. It's all done through email. It's done through, a direct portal through their website. It's done through, unfortunately, Discord and Telegram, a lot of
Yeah,
it.
fortunately,
Um,
yes.
yeah.
If you send your crypto to the wrong address, it is almost certainly gone forever. That little moment you take to double check, that is your only safety net. So, we'll end here. Your public address is your front door to the world of crypto. It's secure by design, but it's also public by nature. So that leaves us with one last thing for you to think about. Now that you know your address is out there for the world to see, what are you going to do to protect your privacy?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, what do you do to protect your privacy? Well, you can, but you've got to know about operational security, OPSEC, so that when you create a new wallet and have assets sent to that new wallet, that it just doesn't dox you immediately. So difficult, I'm sure, to be private on a public chain, but doable, definitely doable. So why don't we read through this, Mike? This lesson together, Mike. So public keys and addresses. So they used that email analogy. So just like your email address, your public keys or your public address, either of those, but your public address is safe to share, and it's needed by anyone who wants to send you something. And that's kind of like your email address. You can share it safely, right?
Yeah.
So in this example, it says, "Send me some crypto. Here's my address." And so you give, you can give this to the world. 0x would be, for Ethereum, right?
Mhm.
7x or something random would be for Solana. And then anything that starts with a 1, a 3, or a BC1, that's going to be a Bitcoin address. So let's take a look here. The core concept: your public address is like your email address, safe to share, needed by anyone who wants to send you something. That makes sense, right? So now we've got this concept of the email address. So that's the public address that you can share versus your email password. That's like your private key that you never share, right? You would never go out there and share the password to your email address with a random stranger because they told you that they were from Coinbase support, would you? Never, never. So let's just take a look at this here. Your email has two components, right? Your email address, you can share that safely with anyone. Knowing your email address doesn't allow them to read your emails. You can print it on business cards, but your email password, you would never share that with anyone, right? It gives
Hold on. Another scam. Don't fucking fall for this. In the chats of a lot of shows, and we try to catch them and delete them, but people will say, "Oh, can you help me with my wallet? Here's my seed phrase," and they'll give you their seed phrase. It's another scam. They want you to access that and try to potentially extract crypto out of it or something. And when you interact with it, then it has malicious code in it, and it can do some terrible things.
Right. And so just because someone shares with you a seed phrase doesn't mean that that's necessarily for a wallet. Like that could be for, a deployer wallet that
A
deployed a
wallet
smart
trainer,
contract. Yeah, it
it
could it
could
could
be
be
a
a
wallet trainer, and then when you put that in, and your wallet, basically they drain your wallet.
so that's not possible. But what is possible is if you start interacting with that
That's
wallet,
what I'm saying.
it could be a smart contract. And so if you start interacting with that wallet, then all of a sudden you could have a drainer just attached to your wallet. So
That's what
yeah,
I didn't want to get too technical, but yeah,
yeah,
basically, once you start interacting with that wallet, it can do some very malicious things.
so if it seems too good to be true in crypto, it ain't. It's not real. If someone
Oh no,
tries to,
if it's too good to be true, it is.
yeah, like
It
it's
very
not
much
real.
is. It's like,
It's not real, is what I mean.
yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, so no one is going to just share with you their seed phrase, and you should never share your seed phrase with anyone ever. It's like your email password. It must be kept secret because it gives full access to your account. So in the analogy here, your public address, that is kind of like your email address. It's safe to share publicly. Your private key, that's kind of like the password to your email account. it must be kept secret. Okay, so pretty straightforward. Now, here's what some of these addresses can look like. So if we're looking over here on, Bitcoin, here's an example. It starts with, see what it starts with? BC1. So these Bitcoin addresses start with 1, 3, or BC1, and they're between 26 and 35 characters long. Over here on Ethereum and all of the compatible layer 2s, so, a layer 2 would be something like the base chain or Arbitrum or Hyper EVM, that's Hyperliquid's chain. So those addresses all start with a 0x. So here's an example, and they're always 42 characters long. Now on Solana, you've got these base 58 encoded addresses. Here's an example, but they can look much different than this. So, Solana wallet addresses can look much different, and they're between 32 and 44 characters. So the format tells you what blockchain the address belongs to. So you can instantly glance at an address and see, oh, that's a Bitcoin address, or that's an Ethereum address, or that's a Solana address. So
in most wallets these days, if you're trying to send, say, Ethereum, and you accidentally copy and paste a Solana address, it will tell you it's an invalid address.
Right. Exactly. It's not going to let you send your crypto to, into the ether, so to speak, never to be seen or heard from again. And, it's such a shame too, because this stuff is public. So you can see where you sent that asset if you make a mistake, and you can see where it is, but it's stuck. You can't, you can see it there, but you can't do anything about it. And there's no customer service to call. It's permanent. So you got to be careful. All right. So this was, I think I probably need to regenerate this image here. This was, in both of the pieces of content, the video content in lesson 10 and lesson 9, we saw those, addresses being one way, where your private key pairs with your public key to create the address. So from the private key, you can calculate the public key and create an address. From the address, you cannot calculate the public key or the private key. And from the public key, you cannot calculate the private key. So the address, the public wallet address, is what you share with the world. The private key is what you use to sign and spend. So that analogy of cracking an egg, you can crack the egg, but you can't uncrack it. That's kind of like the math of entropy makes it impossible to go backwards. Now, theoretically, it is possible, but with the computers that we have now outside of the quantum stuff, with current computers, it would take an incalculable amount of time to go from the public wallet or the public key back to the private key. So it's unfeasible, even though in theory it's possible. But with quantum, all of a sudden it becomes really possible. So that's just, we got to eventually at some point quantum proof all of this cryptography. But what this means is
a quantum condom on.
yeah, man. I mean, those
you don't want to get one of them crypto STDs.
That'd be horrible. Oh God. So this just means that sharing your address reveals nothing dangerous. So that's your public wallet address. And someone watching the blockchain sees the addresses, but they can't derive the private keys, which means they can't spend any of the crypto assets owned by those keys. And your funds remain secure, even though your address is public. So that's pretty good right there. Address privacy considerations. Okay, so these blockchains, they're public. And you can go on over here, to something like, I don't know, how about we hop on over here to Etherscan? We were taking a look at that the other day. If I just go to the home page here, then over on Etherscan, if we just want to take a look at a transaction, this is just some random transaction from 27 seconds ago for, $48. But remember, everything's public. This is all public. So just something really important to know that when you send assets or interact on chain, these chains are public. So anyone can see all the transactions to or from any address. And if they know your address, like your public wallet address, they can see your balance and transaction history. And if they can dox that public wallet address to a in real life human individual, well, then all of a sudden they know what's in your bank account and they know your identity. And then if they can get your physical location, well, you can see how that could be a problem, right?
Well, it's somewhat happened. You know, a lot of influencers and you know, people that travel and, you know, stuff like that, they've, you know, had people grabbed, you know, that are in crypto, and some of them were tortured and killed, you know, for their seed phrase, you know, for their private keys. You know, you know,
Yeah.
you need, you know, security starts, you know, starts with you. You know, it starts with your online footprint. It starts with, you know, freaking, you know, your behaviors. It's, you know, we call it OPSEC in the military, you know, operational security. You know, you know, some things might seem small, but together they paint a larger picture. It's how the intelligence services all work. You know, you might think that your phone number isn't that big of a deal. With your phone number, you know, with technology that they have, they can listen to all of your phone calls. They can, you know, see everybody that calls you. They can then listen to all their phone calls. I mean, it's, you know, very, very small things can be used to paint a very detailed picture of how you shop, how you travel, how you move, who you interact with, you know, all of these things, and potentially, you know, expose in this case, you know, your assets, you know, your crypto assets.
Yeah, and you can just build, you know, basically like a dossier on an individual just through their metadata. So you can do that on chain because you can view any transaction that's on a public chain.
Your IP address.
Yeah, you can dox it to an individual human, and that's why whenever I leave the house, I carry a weapon in my front pocket, and then I carry one in my back pocket, and then I've got one on my side. Like I just make sure I'm good to go.
I got a weapon in my pants, and I got these.
But yeah, you got to be careful, man.
Well, there's that meme that it has, you know, some left wing you know, chick, and she's like it basically made some comment about, you know, why do you need a gun, and, you know, the guy responded, he's like, because or oh, guys with guns have small, you know, small penises. And he's like, well, you know, last time I tried to use my penis on an intruder, I got a whole different set of charges. It's like, you know, so, you know, basically saying that, you know, there's a place for a firearm.
Yeah, yeah, man. There definitely is. So let's see here. And so here's another tool that Arkham likes to use this. So this address linking. Remember, if everything's public and you send assets to another address of yours or to another individual, then if you can dox all of these addresses along a path and link them together, then you can build, you can exactly, so, or you could, if you're trying to, get some privacy back, but you don't do a good job of maintaining your OPSEC, your operational security. And when you create a new wallet, it gets doxed to your IP almost immediately. Well, then if you're sending assets to that new wallet, but it's just linked back to your doxed wallet, then that new wallet will get doxed too. So, this address linking is important to know. And then the real world stuff. So if you receive a payment from someone, they know at least your address and they can see all of your related activity. Or, this will happen a lot, like the DEX addresses, or maybe not the centralized exchange addresses. They tend to use the same ones over and over again. So if you know that a particular address is receiving, let's say on the 1st of each month, that address is receiving a payment from a centralized exchange address. Well, then, and it's in USDC, then you can start to use that information to build, a portrait of an individual or of a business. So all of these real world connections, it's just important to know about this stuff so that if you choose to, try to retain some semblance of privacy on a public chain, at least if you know about that, you know about, that everything is public, that the addresses can be linked together, that you can build, a dossier of real world connections just by taking a look at on-chain transactions. Like if you know these things, then you can start to protect yourself from bad
Well,
actors who,
and it's good to have multiple wallets. I mean, I have a wallet that I use whenever I'm, interacting with questionable, platforms, new protocols that I'm not sure of the security. I have my cold storage wallet where I have my long-term hold stuff that's, air gapped. You have to physically plug it into a USB drive, or, you have to, have the card or something like that that you can store separately to authorize any kind of, transactions. Then I have, of course, my, hot wallet that I use on, more reputable sites like, Aerodrome, or, when I'm interacting with, Uniswap or Aave, or, something like that. It's always good to have almost like firewalls, and if, and I maybe I'll send money from, that, trusted hot wallet to the questionable one before I, interact with that, that new protocol or something. So, an ounce of prevention can save you a lot of headache if, and it's important that you really think about the logistics of how you interact with crypto. And as you get more advanced, ensuring that you're building good habits, good practices, kind of, in business, they call it best practices, and stick to those. Make sure that you're always using those best practices. We've reached time. Do you have any closing thoughts, David?
Yeah, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I like
Yeah.
that phrase a lot. You've got to know about these. Like, this is like basic wallet best practices, basic wallet security stuff. But dude, this is so important. It's foundational. And so go through those lessons, because if you weren't already expert in everything that we just discussed today, there's definitely an opportunity for you to learn a little bit more. So I would go back through it.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate everybody in the chat. I mean, as in the depths of this market as we are, the fact that we have so many people showing up, looking for good information, and wanting to, continue to educate themselves on this technology. It shows that, that you all have the discipline to, when there's zero interest in crypto, other than the institutions that are building and buying. But as far as retail, I mean, almost zero interest right now. So the fact that you're all here, pat yourselves on the back, because that says a lot about you, that you see, what's being built, and, that you're putting in the work when other people are unwilling. So, the people that are successful are the ones that do the uncomfortable things. If you're buying and earning, when things are down like this, when you're interested in educating yourself, when, there's no, profitability, no, you're not getting that endorphin hit of prices pumping. You're not getting that endorphin hit of, there being, all of this positivity in the market. If you can stay engaged right now, you're going to do well, and not just in crypto. If you have that discipline to stay engaged, with something that, isn't, like, again, giving you those endorphin hits, you got yourself wired right. So, David.
Yeah, man. Yeah, building this skill set, it's just so valuable, dude. It really is. And building in the bear, in 2026, I think this is the bear market in crypto.
Yeah.
But dude, I mean, all of these new products, all of these DeFi products, they're going to replace all of these TradFi products. So learn how to use them now before, the masses start piling in.
Yeah. No, it's, early adopters, the early adopters of, Microsoft, the early adopters of Amazon, it's, and again, the episode that we did last night, take a look at it, because we talked about some very important alpha, understanding, what you're buying when you buy a token for a project, and, and the difference in the tokenomics of, if you buy a token, do you have any skin in the game to where, if that project is profitable and generates revenue or fees or something like that, does that translate to you as a token holder in some way? Or are you just wearing the football jersey, or are you holding the meme coin or the baseball card of your favorite project? You're just a cheerleader, and there is no financial you're basically giving them your liquidity to grow their business with absolutely zero return on your investment. So
yeah, but you got to understand that stuff, man. So
you do.
Education is important. You got to get educated.
Absolutely. And like Twinkle says, the basics are important. No matter how advanced, you are, it's always good to revisit the basics, because you can get complacent. You start doing things in DeFi using wallets and connecting to things and get in a hurry, use the wrong wallet, and boom, all it takes is once to get your wallet drained. So again, best practices, rules are all great. So, well, till next time. Tomorrow we got, I think, later on today. I mean, we can still do it, David, but Jake isn't able to make it. We can still do the the advanced strategies if you're
I think
available.
it's probably best just to push it to tomorrow.
All right.
Or next week, I mean.
All right. Yeah, and so the next show is tomorrow, which is Thursday. So that is that's the red pill.
Yeah.
That's the spicy one.
That's going to be a good one.
So we got DeFi high in the morning, and then we got the red pill at night, and that's the one where we talk about basically everything you're not supposed to talk about on YouTube and online. So
it's going to be great.
Yeah, make sure you join us for that one. So till next time, Veteran Crypto out.
Peace.